very, very interesting. I'm really excited about meeting. He will have lots to discuss, I'm sure, with an amazing resume. So let me introduce, first of all, Mr. Sonny Shahnawaz. Welcome to our show. You obviously are somebody who is a young entrepreneur, business-minded, have got a brilliant educational background as well. And looking at your resume, I was just really blown away with all the things that you've been doing. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about yourself and just some of the highlights of your career that you're most proud of.
I started off, I think, around about 2015 time. Mm-hmm. Just after my first son was born, I wanted to do something which kind of gives me the freedom I wanted from the career that I was pursuing at that time. And I launched a food tech business, and that went quite well, and we ended up selling. And on the back of that, I went to pursue further education again after about 10 years out.
Wow.
And that's when I went and did my MBA. And that's after that, I got a bit of a brainwave and mm-hmm. launched my second business, which was the Utilize project, mm-hmm. which I did in partnership with my business partner called Shubo. Mm-hmm. And then on the back of that, we both ended up launching another food venture, this time a brunch restaurant, and so that now we're expanding that and expanding those two businesses.
Amazing. What made you decide to go back into education after such a long time away from it?
That one's actually quite funny because when I launched the first business I mentioned, it was called Dinnershare. It's now no longer mine, so it doesn't really matter. I'm not really promoting it. Dinnershare, it was a food tech business. It was an area that I was new to as well. What we were doing was giving a platform to influencers who were in the food section, food genre, mm-hmm. Influencing with their cooking and so on and so forth. We gave them a platform to share and sell their food. So we were very passionate about that stuff. Mm-hmm. And when it came to the business expanding, we got approached by certain people wanting to buy it. And they were a lot more shrewd than us. They were a lot more tactical and strategic than us, and we were taken for a ride, I believe. And and what happened was, I think we didn't get our money's worth, and so we got taken advantage of, because I thought I was a businessman, but actually I was just a marketer.
Right.
And my business partner at the time, he was just a tech guy. He knew the IT behind it. He knew the technology behind it. So we didn't know finance. We didn't know accounting. And we went into a meeting with a bunch of sharks, and we came away with our tail between our legs, kind of thing. So on the back of that experience, I said, you know what? I need to really broaden my business repertoire. Mm-hmm. And as a result, I said I want to go and learn business in a holistic way. Absolutely. And that's what drove me to pursue the MBA.
I love that. It's quite refreshing actually to hear how you've highlighted, I suppose, what started off as a success, but of course kind of ended in I don't want to use the word failure, but it ended up in pretty much a disaster for you guys. But you took that and you really did something with it, to go back and to kind of think about how I'm going to now change that and broaden things and go to such a prestigious university such as Cambridge University as you did. Mm-hmm. What was it that drove you to your success when you were at Cambridge? What kept you going? What made you think, right, I can do this?
You mean while in Cambridge?
Yes.
Okay. So I think the whole atmosphere in Cambridge is such that you're kind of driven to push yourself. Mm-hmm. It's never you're never allowed to stay in your comfort zone. I think that's something that's quite unique of those rarefied spaces, which are usually only just available to the higher echelons of society, like your Eton, so on and so forth. Absolutely. What those educational institutes do is actually drive their students and their attendees with a real urge to outdo what they had done previously.
Yes.
Whereas I think state education, and I know you're a teacher in state education, but you were one. But and I mean no offense by this, but it kind of promotes mediocrity, and you're just allowed to get by. Mm-hmm. Whereas that's not the case in these kind of environments where you're actually constantly pitted against one another. It's almost like a gladiator battlefield.
Yeah.
So that kind of drives it.
You're stepping in the shoes of Sir Isaac Newton, people like that. Darwin, who obviously went to Cambridge as well, Stephen Hawkins. Mm-hmm. So for you, I can imagine, you're talking about this competitive field mm-hmm. and this atmosphere where already you're competing with one another for the absolute best. What did you want your mark to be? What would you want your legacy to be once you left Cambridge? Because mm-hmm. we've got loads of students who now, especially in the Bangladesh community, who mm-hmm. are going to Cambridge and are doing really, really well, which is brilliant. But how do you make that link between doing well at university and really achieving something once you've left?
Yeah, I think that's I think a unique marker of the Masters in Business Administration, which really is a vocational education course. I would say it's not like theoretical, because prior to that I studied sociology, and it doesn't actually equate to anything in the real world. Sometimes you come
That was
away
one
with
of
a
my
bunch
subjects
of
as well.
yeah. So there's a big difference between what I did for my undergraduate and what I did for my postgraduate. And with the postgraduate, this particular course for the Master's in Business Administration, it's all to do with how to put it to use and then and essentially make it pay. And the whole conversation constantly was, how are you going to increase your salary or your business turnover, this kind of thing.
Right.
So it's always a ongoing discussion point throughout the whole course. So there's that part, that it has a very practical output for it. Not to say I actually put down courses that are more intangible, maybe. I actually really enjoyed my sociology course. It actually made me the person who I am now. Even so many years after, I don't know, 15 years maybe since I graduated, that particular education I think had a deeper impact in me than this more vocational course that I did in Cambridge. But yeah, so I think this whole point of taking the education and putting it to use is a tricky one, because now we have so many different courses. You have people doing a undergraduate in football and in I don't know, identity politics or some
There's
crazy
absolutely
stuff
everything,
like
isn't there now?
Yeah. So taking that and making that pay
Yeah.
at the end of it is not always possible.
Yes.
But I think what education should do is give you the tools to think rather than what to think. And if you've got that, if you come away with the tools to think, you should be able to put it to use in the real world, and you should be able to make it pay or make a business out of it, make a career out of it, be helpful to someone such that they pay you for that service.
Absolutely. Did you feel that when you were at university, you talked about your graduation and then obviously doing this first business, going back to your MBA and then starting up another business, has it been a straightforward path? I mean, after the first sort of initial mistake, after that, was it a straightforward path or were there obstacles in your way? And if so, how did you kind of overcome those?
Definitely wasn't something that was straightforward.
Right.
It's all I think one of the key things that I would talk to people about, young people that I mentor, for instance, is taking everything as it comes and allowing the qadr of Allah, the destiny that has been written for you, to unfold, because you are part of a story. You're the main character of your own story. You know that. Yeah?
Absolutely. You're the protagonist.
And, you're the protagonist, and allow yourself to experience that story, because you came from someplace and you're going someplace. And you should know that there's only so much you can do. You can plan so much. I used to have this master plan of year by year what I'll do. About 70% of it went out the window, and I realized that actually I'm on a journey.
Yes.
I feel like I'm on a ship, and the wind is blowing, and I don't know which way it's going to go. I just need to enjoy all the different islands it takes me to, and really just learn what I can on the way. So that it's not a straightforward journey. Think of it like like you're on a ship. And you don't have the control of the sails, and you're going to be blown in the direction the wind needs you to. You just need to be able to adapt and take the lessons, because nothing is useless and nothing is like a complete failure. You always take lessons from it and you grow from it. But that mindset is the most important. Like I said, the educational process has to give you the tools to think rather than what to think. Right. And too many times I think right now people are coming away with like rote memorizations of this, but they don't have any tools to think critically or be able to deal with situations as they come.
Yeah, absolutely. You were somebody who, when I was looking at and reading some stuff about you, and I noticed that there's a real sort of creativity behind some of the things that you do in the business world. You know, you've got sort of innovation behind things, and at the same time, you're kind of pairing that with a sort of moral outlook, you know, and a social responsibility too. Why is it important to you? And do you think that is something you want to encourage with the youth as well?
Yeah. It's interesting because, you know, there was a time in the 80s and the 90s, for instance, the MBA program was always like the bottom line, and the profit incentive was the most important thing. Is it profitable for the shareholder or not? If it's not, then it gets cut out. If it is, then thumbs up, no matter how crafty or how bad for the environment, how bad for the people, how bad for the society, community, whatever it is, doesn't matter. And that's where you got all these, really historically horrible situation when Nestle, for instance, were essentially like slave owning and so on and so forth, all that crazy stuff. Now, actually, in these courses and throughout, I think most of the educational process, you get this whole thing about having a positive impact.
Yeah.
A lot of it is like environmental stuff, but I think it can also be expanded to positive impact to society, your community, people that you care about, communities or causes that you care about. So there's that part that was actually ingrained in me through that my masters as well.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, obviously I'm a Muslim and I know that I play a role in this world and I'm going to answer for what I do.
Absolutely.
So my business practices have to be in line with those morals and those guidelines that I follow very, very as strongly as I can. And you know, we're only accountable. Allah says, "Fattaqullaha mastata'tum." You fear Allah to the best of your abilities.
Absolutely.
And that's really what I'm trying to do. Even through my businesses, I try to stay clear of certain areas, no matter how profitable it gets.
Absolutely, and I think what you've done is admirable, and I wish I could carry on talking to you because you've been brilliant, so insightful, and I think you've got so much to offer to us. I'm sure I'll be seeing you back in the studio, hopefully, another time with great new ideas for more businesses. Thank you very much for joining us today.